What you good people are about to see is an operation in progress.
The day has finally arrived. After 21 years of waiting and countless mentions of it in many of my other Halo videos, at long last I've been able to actually play Halo 2's extraordinary E3 2003 gameplay trailer. Thanks to the Halo dig site team's hard work, it's available right now on PC, and I've left a link to the Steam Workshop download page in this video's description. The demo begins with Master Chief and Sergeant Johnson on their way to Earth's new Mombasa, where a Covenant attack is well underway.
Immediate. Grid Kilo 23 is hot. Recommend mission abort.
Roger, Recon.
It's your call, Sarge.
We're going in. Get tactical, Marines!
Covenant ground forces own this city. We'll need to deal with them before we can kill that cruiser.
For those of you unfamiliar with the history of this demo who are wondering why this is such a momentous occasion, it's because what unfolds during this 10-minute or so teaser never made it into Halo 2. Now granted, we did get 2 levels set on Earth, Outskirts and Metropolis, but neither matched the promise of this early reveal. The big difference is that during both, it never really feels like there's an ongoing conflict. Take Outskirts for example, opening with this frankly gorgeous cinematic which ends with your Pelican being shot down by a scarab you'll later destroy at the end of Metropolis is the perfect start. However, you then take control and spend the first third of the mission stood in this small courtyard waiting for enemies to spawn in, and in no way does it or most of the rest of its runtime match its big budget beginning. The same too can be said of Metropolis, although the bridge sequence at its start is a definite improvement, and tellingly its best bit, a warthog ride through city streets, is the part which most closely matches a segment of the E3 demo. The 2003 edition's mood is a massive step up, where Outskirts and Metropolis's gameplay are somewhat disconnected from their context. From minute 1 in the demo, you find yourself in the middle of a brutal conflict. Some Marines lie bleeding on stretchers, clinging to life.
No tags.
Hang 2 units, own egg, and he needs an airway.
I'm calling it. It's 1900. The lieutenant got hit as soon as we dropped in.
Who's in charge now, Corporal?
Sergeant Banks, ma'am. He's pinned down up front. Come on, I'll show you.
While others man turrets looking down on the city's streets or chat to their fellow soldiers.
Oye, Parsons!
Yeah?
Is it clear?
You tell me.
Friendly's moving out! Covering fire!
You're immediately given the impression that things are messy and chaotic, as would absolutely be the case during a full-on alien invasion. Everything at least seems to be wonderfully dynamic. Of course, these early stages, and indeed much of what follows, are heavily scripted, and that is important to bear in mind. This was never a fully formed level, but rather a carefully constructed path of smoke and mirrors designed to show off what was possible. If you deviate from the intended route even slightly, you'll notice straight away that there is nothing happening whatsoever across the vast majority of the gigantic map, and it's even possible to jump down from the platform you land on and run straight to trigger the ending cutscene without meeting a single Covenant foot soldier. Conveniently, Master Chief still manages to find a ghost regardless, presumably he quickly grabs one off camera. With that being the case, this brief slice of gameplay should be considered nothing more than a proof of concept designed to show off all the new mechanics Bungie plan to implement in Halo 2 in quick succession. First you try out the single-shot battle rifle, then you man a machine gun turret. Remember, Halo Combat Evolved only featured the Covenant's take on them. There's dual SMGs, a Gauss Warthog, an AI seemingly driving said Warthog, brutes, and vehicle hijacking. There is a ridiculous amount of new stuff packed into less than 10 minutes of gameplay, and it's perhaps the biggest reason why the 2003 trailer was completely and utterly mind-blowing. Well, that and how drop-dead beautiful it all is.
Damn it, HQ, is anybody on this break?
Sergeant, this is Major Easley. Hang tight, we're inbound. Verify delivery of ordnance on target.
Dead on, Major. Target neutralized.
I cannot see a world in which the Xbox would have been able to handle the lighting and shadows on display, but they are a sight to behold. The colours used too are lovely. The towering grey buildings and long stretches of street are broken up by bright splashes of colour on signs or road markings, which works well alongside further bursts of colour the Covenant provide. Jackal's shields and plasma projectiles are particularly vibrant compared to what's featured in Halo 2. It all combines to give the demo a distinct aesthetic which is never really on display in any other Halo release. I say never really, as Halo 3 ODST is a fairly close approximation, which isn't overly surprising given it's also set in New Mombasa, but if you look at this footage of one of its missions, there's a clear difference in terms of vibrancy. That and the demo's surfaces being less textured, although I'm unsure if that's intentional, gives it a very different look. Personally, I love the more stylised New Mombasa seen in 2003's version of the city, but at the same time, some of the realism and grit present in ODST's take is admittedly lost in the process. The big set piece to cap events off is a Warthog run, except unlike Combat Evolved, you don't have to drive.
Confuse the gunner, sir.
Go, sir. We got your back.
Light him up, sir. That's the way, yeah!
It should go without saying that the AI is not actually driving during this sequence, rather the Warthog is following a strict route it never deviates from even for a second across multiple playthroughs. That should come as no surprise either, given how wonky Halo's AI drivers were right through to the end of Bungie's tenure. I'm sure most of you watching can think of many examples of them driving with a death wish, and there was absolutely no chance Bungie was going to risk something like that happening during a gameplay demonstration. Even so, it's pretty blooming exhilarating, and having watched my footage and the 2003 trailer side by side, the Warthog sequence is nearly an exact match from the path it takes to where enemies are located and when dialogue occurs. It's really lovingly put together. While it plays out, there's also a whopping great question which needs answering. Would Halo 2's E3 2003 gameplay reveal have worked as an actual level? I hate to be the bearer of inconclusive news, but it's practically impossible to say. Based on spectacle alone, I don't think there can be any doubt that a mission which included everything in the demo plus a little extra to flesh it out would have been a fantastic way to introduce Earth to the series. From its futuristic setting and impressive scale to the wealth of new mechanics introduced and exciting set pieces, it had a huge amount of potential, and Bungie's ambition was plain to see. Having potential can only get you so far though, and turning this vertical slice into a traditional dynamic Halo mission would have taken a huge amount of work. For one thing, the map is gigantic, and Bungie would have had to figure out a way of stopping you getting lost or going too far off piste. In this playable version, you can activate an objective marker using the flashlight button to guide you, but that wouldn't have been a viable solution in the finished product. Constraints could be put on where you're allowed to go, but then some sense of scale would also possibly be lost in the process. Equally, you can never be sure that someone is going to do what's intended, like hijacking the Ghost to escape to the end checkpoint, which by the by happens automatically when you get close, as it does when you pick up the dual SMGs earlier. Also different from Halo 2 is the HUD, notice there is none. There are so many other considerations too, to the point it's extremely difficult to imagine what a level based on this concept would end up looking like once player interaction and experimentation had been accounted for. We may have got something which hit many of the same beats the demo does, but to think it would have been almost identical is naive at best. After fending off a gaggle of brutes, you reach a nearby bridge, and the demo concludes with this awesome cutscene.
Bet you can't stick it.
You're on.
So there we have it. I genuinely never thought I'd be able to experience Halo 2's 2003 gameplay reveal in all its glory, and to be able to do so some 21 years later has been amazing. Carefully constructed and incredibly linear, framing it as a fully fleshed out Halo level would be disingenuous, but nonetheless it's a fascinating showcase of what could have been. If you're a Halo fan, or you simply fancy trying out one of the greatest vertical slices of all time, I highly recommend giving it a go as soon as you possibly can. For me, being given the opportunity to finally experience it has been a dream come true. Thanks for watching the video, boys, girls and Spartans. If you had a good time, do consider liking, subscribing and sharing your thoughts, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.